And on the 6'8" junior from St. George, Utah, number 6, Isaac Benson.
Wowee! 2 home games for the University of Hawaii men's basketball team. 2 W's for sure. 2 20-plus win, 2 20-plus W's to say the least. Because as you can see by these 2 scores here, University of Hawaii came away the winners over Bakersfield 98-71 and CSUN 89-68. And, you add all that up, that's an average of 29 points in these 2 wins because that's 58 points total that they won by. So I'm going to get into that. But first off, guys, remember, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to or if you just want to see some more of my games. Unfortunately, I did not attend the CSUN game because I was away on another matter. And I won't get into that at all. But still, remember, subscribe. Let's get into this. So starting out with Cal State Bakersfield, the final score there was 98-71, UH on top. Now give Bakersfield some credit because they were down a couple players like I had suspected. They were playing without CJ Hardy and Jaden Alexander. They were out with supposed foot injuries was what I heard, but don't quote me on that. One thing I do know for sure is another part of my banner here, Aaron Hunkenclater out indefinitely due to a foot injury of his own. And that was a pretty big loss for sure because Aaron really knows how to anchor this team as a point guard, and he doesn't commit as many turnovers as before because earlier in the year, Hunkenclater was probably known for committing at least 3 turnovers or more, not every game, but just on any certain night. And to see Hunkenclater out was a bit of a crushing blow. But I'll tell you this, with winnings by 27 and 21 points respectively, you would never have guessed that Aaron Hunkenclater was out with a foot injury because as far as what I can see, with losing Jalen Myers on the first road trip because he decided to kind of leave the team and be no longer active on the roster, that was a crushing blow for sure. And those were probably, at least the UC San Diego game, was a game that I thought Jalen Myers could have come into his own. But unfortunately, that didn't happen at all. And UH ended up losing by 17 because they fell victim to losing by 10 rather, because they fell victim to a 17-0 run. And also UC Santa Barbara, rather, where they got off to a lousy start and just could not recover. But still, with UH versus Bakersfield, that was an excellent game for sure. And the way that they came out and attacked Bakersfield right away is proof positive that everybody had to step up with Aaron Clater out for the foreseeable future. And the guy who really deserves a lot of credit, actually 2 guys, Isaac Finlinson and Isaiah Kerr. And to say the least, when I saw that Isaac Finlinson was in the starting lineup, I admit I was a bit skeptical, but he still backed up his role. He didn't have to lead the scores, but I just wanted to see him put in a good performance. Finlinson I'm talking about. And he did. He did contribute in his own way. And so did Isaiah Kerr with the absence of Aaron Hunkenclater. And as a result, Isaiah Kerr came through with 16 points on the night. And another thing that UH did really well was that they handled the press from Cal State Bakersfield really, really good. Because I know that in the past that handling the press has not been one of UH's strong points, especially going back to last season, because it seemed like once they lost to CSUN by 23, things kind of went downhill from there. And then they will get really passive around the perimeter. And as a result, they would end up losing more games that they probably should have won. But still, it was kind of deceiving to see them play kind of terrible last season, off and on, and still prove that they got the pace with some of the top front runners like Irvine and Santa Barbara. Well, mainly Santa Barbara, but they still couldn't beat them. But still, this is a squad that you better watch out for, because once UH gets comfortable, and to see them still win by 20 points, even on what might be not their best day, that's a scary thought if you're the rest of the Big West competitors, for sure. And to be frank, I would give both games an A grade, because Bakersfield could have been a bit concerning. CSUN was probably twice as concerning. But still, after hearing that Bakersfield was down CJ Hardy and Jaden Alexander due to injuries of their own, that kind of told, in my mind, that UH had to come away with this win, or at least I had a good feeling that they were going to come away with this win, and they didn't let me down. But the one thing that really stood out like a sore thumb was the fact that 50 fouls were called by the officials. That's right. 50 fouls. 5-0. 50 fouls. Now, a lot of that could say that could it have been home court advantage for Hawaii? No, I think that the officials were kind of calling things really, really tight, and that kind of carried over into the CSUN game.
Yeah.
Now, you won't see any shots from that game because, like I said, I did not attend that game because I was away on other matters. Plus, I also still had a bit of a sickness that I'm still trying to get over. But still, I would give that game an A grade as well, because UH led for a majority of that game, if not the entire way. And the fact that they were still able to come through with a big win over CSUN is a big step forward after CSUN swept them last season, both at home and on the road. And ultimately, with the loss to CSUN last season, that was the end of UH's season. The Big West tournament was not possible because they did not qualify at all. This year, they're leading the conference, or at least tied with Irvine at the top. And I will say this. This makes the Irvine road game extremely vital, because if UH comes out showing that they came to play and they don't hesitate at all, I have a good feeling that UC Irvine is not going to stand a chance against them. And they will finally get a season sweep over Irvine. And the last time that happened was probably 2018, because I know for a fact that UH has not won at Irvine since 2018. And in that game, free throws really saved their bacon, because they only made 3 shots in the second half, and they still came through with the win. But before I transition to the CSUN game, I also want to give a one last thing about the Bakersfield game. Dre Bullock led the way with 17 points, and along the way, he cracked 1,000 career points.
Dr. Dre is in the house.
So congrats to Dre. I was completely unaware that he was that close to 1,000 points until I watched the rebroadcast on Saturday when UH ended up winning by 20. 7. So congratulations. So before I get to CSUN, I also want to congratulate Dre on cracking 1,000 career points. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. Juan Munoz cracked 1,000. Noel Coleman cracked 1,000. But at this point in the season, for Dre Bullock to crack 2,000 points like T.Y. Johnson of UC Irvine or UC San Diego, or I'm sorry, UC Davis, I don't know if that's going to happen at all. Probably not. Because if it took Bullock that long, and he's a graduate transfer, if it took him that long to crack 1,000 points, I think that 2,000 is a little out of reach. But 1,500 might be a stretch. But still, 1,000 points, 1,000 career points is certainly nothing to sneeze at if you're Dre Bullock. And good on him. He led the way with 17 points. He was one of only 6 guys on the Rainbow Warriors to crack double digits. So I hope that UH will carry that momentum into the Irvine game on the road. Now, this upcoming road trip, I do believe that a split is probably the worst that UH will do, because they go up against Irvine. That'll be on national TV on ESPNU. And in fact, both of these road games will be televised on ESPNU for UC Irvine and Long Beach State on Spectrum Sportsnet. So I do think that a split could be the worst that UH will be able to do, because at the same time, Irvine is a tough challenger and Long Beach State is a tough opponent as well on any given night. But they aren't really having the best season. And last season, qualify for the Big West tournament either, losing their final 15 conference games in a row. And they only won 3 conference games, and one of them was over us. Long Beach, I'm talking about. But 2 seasons ago, they won the Big West tournament, and that was the last go-around for their coach, Dan Munson. So just thought I'd get that out of the way real quick. So as far as the CSUN game is concerned, I was really encouraged by what I saw from everybody out there in a Hawaii uniform. It could have gone either way at first because both teams had trouble buying buckets, and then UH got hot and they were able to lead for much of the game. Now, in the final 5 minutes, Isaac Johnson hit a buzzer beater to end the first half. And as a result, UH led 40-33. And then they did what they did to Cal Poly with a second half surge. They used that against CSUN to be able to pull away and win by 21 points. And for UH to still win by 20 points without the services of Aaron Hunkin-Clater is really, really significant. So I look for UH to at least do the same, or at least win by 15 over Long Beach State. Are they going to do that over Irvine? I don't know. I think they may be lucky to win by the skin of their teeth, because Irvine is a good team. You can't take them lightly. They're one of the perennial front runners along with Santa Barbara. But I do think that they got the pace, UH I'm talking about. But whether or not they can turn them back is a different story. Same goes with Long Beach State. They're going to have to come away with a good start in both halves. And if they do that, there's a good chance that UH will come away with another road sweep. So that's where I'll leave it. So anyway, guys, that's all for today. And remember, subscribe, and I'll see you all for my recaps of UC Irvine and Long Beach State on the road. Go Bows!
Good.